Now that we've created an initial framework of our process structure, now we can dive into a specific process to start making our first set of work instructions. I'm going to come into our seat post install process to get started. Where we first land here is our list view of the sequence of steps to be able to create our information as needed. I can add steps from this page, and I can also come over to my design tab and add new steps here as well. We have the ability to create these instructions and move these steps around as needed, either from this view or from our design tab here to be able to rearrange the structure as we start building our instructions. The overall content here is going to be relatively straightforward for our example, but it'll illustrate some of the capabilities of building out a sufficient set of work instructions for your operators. In this first step, I want to scan the bike serial number that I'm working on. As we identify this picture that we want to use, I can select it from the album. I have some pictures loaded here already. But when I click on this, I'll be able to zoom this image out, zoom it in as needed, and adjust the pictures that I'm showing to my operators as needed. So I'm going to zoom in just enough to capture the barcode that's relevant to my process here. If needed, I can always rotate it around. But I'm just going to zoom back in and capture my relevant information here and only show the image that I want to use. Just zoom into this section here. So there's a couple different annotation features to be able to identify what we're trying to do. There's typical Microsoft Office suite of products available to be able to point to the serial number that we're scanning, that we can use these arrows here to drag it onto the image. We can change that line weight, and more importantly in this situation, the color to show that this is the serial number that we're scanning. So these typical identification techniques to identify the important parts of these images. If I add anything on here unnecessarily, I can always delete those out as well. If these images already are annotated from an additional or external source from either PowerPoint or Google Slides, you can bring those images in with all those annotations directly on it as an image, so you don't need to recreate it here. But in this case, I'm just going to build it from scratch. When we talk about that sequence of operations to be able to do so, I'm going to create a numbered list here. In this case, I'm going to hit the numbered list from our text styling. We can also just use the shortcuts to be able to create that numbered list. And what I'm going to do is scan or enter the serial number of the bicycle. And I'm going to add an additional text styling note here as an example that I'm only interested in the last 4 digits in character. So I'm going to enter out an informational note that says serial number only requires the last 3 digits and letter at the end of the sequence. This is going to be helpful for reducing the amount of entry needed when you're typing it in, unless you have a barcode scanner connected to your laptop to be able to enter that information as well.